welcome to Across the Fence. I'm Jolene Whitney. Vermont ranks as the state with the second highest rate of adult literacy in the U.S., second only to New Hampshire, which ranks first. Vermont Adult Learning was established in Vermont as the Institute for Self-Reliance, which provided adult basic education via correspondence courses. A lot has changed since then, and now Vermont Adult Learning helps with computer skills as well as reading and writing. To talk about adult literacy in Vermont, I'm joined by Tara Brooks, the Executive Director for Vermont Adult Learning. She's a fifth-generation Vermonter from Addison County, and she's been the leader of VAL for about 6 months, you said. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I started on July 1st of 2024.
Great. And why don't we already kind of talked a little bit about what you folks do, but tell me about your mission.
Sure. So, kind of when you scale it down, I think our mission is to provide a personalized approach to learning that supports adults ages 16 and older to reach their education and career goals.
And adult education classes aren't a new idea, and I kind of mentioned the correspondence courses that this program started with back in the day, which some older Vermonter viewers might be a little more familiar with. But how have the visions kind of changed from then?
Sure. So one thing I think that people should know is that adult education services are mandated by the state statute. So they are controlled by that. VAL is one of three ABE, which stands for Adult Basic Education providers that serve Vermont. So we serve 7 counties across Vermont, so Franklin County, Grand Isle County, Chittenden County, Rutland, Addison, Windsor, and Windham. And then there's the Northeast Kingdom Learning Center, which serves 3 counties, and the Central Vermont Basic Education, which serves 3 counties as well. And then there's the Tutorial Center, which serves down in Bennington County. So we kind of have a shared goal, the 3 of us. So it's empowering adult learners, promoting lifelong learning, and fostering community and equity.
And how many Vermonters do you serve?
So last year we served about 1,466 across the state. That can be divided up into about 1,300 of them were adult basic education students. About 80 were working on our Energy Works and workforce development programs. 93 students got either a high school diploma or a GED from us. And we had about a little over 600 students that were part of our ELL services program.
All right, and you already kind of hinted at my next question. You mentioned the basic education courses and then also workforce development. Why don't we start with basic education? What does that entail?
Sure, so there's we have a couple different pathways for people that are interested in adult basic education. So we provide a service for adults to get their GED. And when we say adults, we're talking about people over 16. So that's how adult is defined in the state. So you can get your GED, or you can get an actual high school diploma through us, and we will work to help you meet the high school requirements for that. We can also help with basic skills like reading, writing, literacy, math, computer skills, and financial literacy. Even such basic things as how to balance your checkbook, how to do your taxes, things like that. We also do college and career readiness, college prep, and career skills and training.
So a whole array of stuff.
Exactly, yes.
So what does workforce development look like?
So really that's where we are looking at kind of upskilling or taking students where they are and trying to help them meet their career goals. So that might be that they're looking to advance in a career that they've already established, or maybe they want to explore a new career path that they haven't established before. And so we would help them reach those goals.
All right, and you have kind of shifted from high school completion to an adult diploma program, is that right?
Yeah, so when I first started in July, Vermont had what was called a high school completion program. And that program worked with local high schools to meet their graduation requirements, and then a student would graduate with that local high school with the support of Vermont Adult Learning. When we shifted to an ADP program, which is the adult diploma program, what has happened is the state has now established a clear guidelines for everybody across the state to for adult education requirements for graduation. So instead of having to work with every single high school across the state, we have one set of graduation requirements that everybody can meet across the state. So it makes it a little bit clearer for our students to know exactly what they need to do to graduate. And there are some advantages to the program. So it's unified across the state, and it's really geared towards the adult learner. So some of the stuff that a traditional high school student might need to do have changed slightly so that it makes it easier. They take into account experiences that the adult learner has had in order to help meet some of those graduation requirements.
Sure, so you can get kind of some credit for life lived.
Exactly.
All right, and has this kind of changed how you fund anything? What's your funding model look like?
So our funding model, we're about 80% funded through grants, and about 70% of that actually comes from the Agency of Education itself, so through the Vermont Agency of Education. And then the rest of our funding is made up through small donations and other smaller grants.
Sure, and it's kind of a touchy subject and kind of a changing world right now, but is there anything you're doing to prepare for maybe changes to funding?
Yeah, so I'm sure most of your viewers saw that there was a lot of changes that have happened in the last couple weeks under the new administration, and there was a funding freeze last week. Thankfully, that funding freeze was lifted, but it was affecting our ability to be able to run some of our grants. What we have seen, though, as a kind of a repercussion of that is that a lot of the major grants that we were getting ready to apply for are no longer available, and those have been removed from the federal government's website. So we're really nervous about what the future funding, specifically for our workforce development program, since a lot of that relies on federal funding, what the future of that's going to look like, because a lot of these grants that were tied to supporting English language learners, workforce development, especially in the areas of renewable energy, and those sectors have all kind of disappeared from the landscape that we were looking at. So we are looking at increasing our donor base, looking at different foundations that we could apply for, and looking at ways that we can increase just general understanding of what we do at Vermont Adult Learning, so that more people might be interested in supporting us.
And is this something that you're planning to kind of try and innovate around some more, or are you just taking it day by day?
Well, we're looking at diversifying the way our funding formula is done. So looking at, again, a variety of options for it. We're celebrating our 45th year this year.
Exciting.
So that's really exciting for us. And so we're looking at different campaign options to, again, get the word out of who we are and what we're doing.
Great. Well, we're happy to have you here then. Yeah. And let's move away from a bit of that tougher topic and talk about some of your success stories. I mean, you must have seen unbelievable success helping Vermonters.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me and what I really enjoy most about the job is going to the VAL graduations. So similar to a traditional high school graduation, when our students either get their GED or their high school diploma, we host a graduation ceremony for those students. And they are one of the most special experiences I have ever been a part of. And the students often will get up and speak and share their stories. And last year was my first year, and I got to attend a couple of the graduation ceremonies, and it was so inspirational to sit and see the students that had struggled and struggled through their whole lives. I mean, 90% of the student population that we serve live below the poverty line. And they have so many barriers to be able to be successful in their lives. And oftentimes it's an uphill battle for them to be able to complete the high school, either GED or their diploma. And it's really inspiring to watch them. I have a story of a student I got to see graduate from Bristol who was amazing. They got up and they talked about how they had really struggled with traditional education. They hadn't been able to find a place in a high school where they felt comfortable. They came to VAL as last resort, and they were welcomed with open arms. They were able to have a personalized learning plan developed for them. They were able to attend school when they could. They could fit it around work and family obligations. And then they were able to actually reach that goal of high school graduation. And it's so inspiring to see students have that happen.
And you said a huge number of the students participating in this live below the poverty line. So what's the cost to attend?
It's free.
Great.
So there's no cost to attend any of our programs. We provide them totally free of charge. Again, that's supported through some of the Vermont grants that we get and then the donations that we get.
And what are the ages that you're usually serving? You said it starts at 16, but is there kind of an age range it falls into?
It really varies. So we do start at 16, and So a student 16, 17, or 18 that is eligible to attend a Vermont high school can come to us. They can choose to unenroll from the Vermont high school and come. But that's just a really small portion of the students we serve. A lot of the students we serve are older adults, adults that have either never graduated from high school or they're looking to upskill. So we do serve those adults that have graduated from high school, but maybe they're not feeling confident enough to go on and take a college class or take a training or more professional development because they're not confident in their reading skills or their math skills to do that. So they can come to us and we can help them prep for that.
And there are a lot of people living in Vermont who maybe English isn't their first language, so do you have services for them?
Yes, so we provide a comprehensive ELL program, so that's for English language learners, and again, those are all free of charge, and they can be accessed both in our in-person locations that are across those 7 counties that I mentioned earlier in Vermont. And then we also do online learning as well. So students have the opportunity to participate remotely. And if computers or access is a challenge, we will work with students to help them get access. Whether it's helping them connect with free programming around the state that can help pay for internet access at their home or providing them with a Chromebook or a laptop. We will do that as well for them free of charge.
Great, we're almost out of time, but I quickly want to go back to something you mentioned earlier when you were talking about workforce development and jobs in clean energy. Talk about that.
Sure, so the last 3 years we had been supported by a big grant that was called Energy Works, and that Energy Works program was really kind of the catalyst that started our workforce development program. And that program helps to fund different types of trainings for students to enter the clean energy field, whether that's doing work on HVAC systems or climate work as far as making, insulating a home to make it more energy efficient. So those are all things that we've trained our students to do.
Absolutely, and we're going to have a graphic on the screen so people can see it too, but why don't you tell us how people can get a hold of you folks?
The easiest way is to go to our website, which is VTadultLearning.org.
Great.
And that has information about all of our centers. You can go and look for phone numbers for all of our centers. There's also information there on how you could give to our program.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to thank the crew here at WCAX. I'm Jolie Whitney. This is Across the Fence. Have a good one.